So Greg, Greg is removed from the task force. A couple of years later, he puts out a book entitled Murder Rap, where he outlines all of the investigation findings and some of the theories that they looked into before they were able to figure out the truth. What is your reaction when the book is released, or is that something that you expected?
I don't know that I expected it. I've never read it, so I don't know what the contents are. To be honest, I think I just shook my head. Um, to call it a successful task force, I think is very overrated. We got some basic information, but until somebody is in jail and convicted, I don't think anybody should go around beating their chest or even making profit off of something like that. So, uh, again, I don't think the task force was a complete success. It was a lot of man hours, woman hours, uh, doing a lot of work with not much to show for it.
Um, Given what we know now, 27 years later, do you feel do you feel any sort of happiness that Greg did release the documentary and release that audio? Because now, obviously, all these years later, Keefe felt comfortable enough to do interviews, to do documentaries, to write a book, to basically repeatedly confess to this crime, so to speak. So do you feel like, because I don't, in my personal opinion, if that audio wasn't released, no one would have known who Keefe was. Therefore, he never would have done interviews. He never would have spoke about this again, and it would remain unsolved for forever. Do you feel any sort of agreement with that, or do you feel like it still should have never gotten released? It should have been dealt with through the authorities with Vegas and you guys.
100%. First of all, Vegas has known about Keefe D since at least since we went out there. I'm sure they were getting phone calls as well. Who was in that Cadillac? But let's be clear, Greg didn't break through anything that wasn't already known. What Greg did was release a video and his book on a still ongoing an open investigation. A murder case never closes until it's solved. And I think Greg was 100% in the wrong releasing that information, again, just for profit. So Vegas, they sat on this case and they've sat on this information for 27 years now, and it's something that lies with them. It's not up to Greg to solve this thing or any of us on this task force that were involved. It was a Las Vegas case. So, and I don't know what prompted them just as of recent to say, hey, because that's been a few years now, I think, since Keefe's released his book, right? So, I don't know why they've sat on it as well. But yeah, no, I get no good feelings about Greg releasing this and then them thinking that it's because of Greg that this thing is getting solved. That this thing was, had it been worked properly back in the early on stages of the investigation, it should have been solved back then.
No, not at all. So the way, and I've said this over the years, I felt that the public was not going to know what we had developed in the investigation on either Biggie or Tupac's case if somebody didn't speak about it. That was the motivation, was to kind of, let people know that what we had discovered. I walked away from a huge amount of earning potential. We have these very lucrative retirement plans in the LAPD. And I could have stuck around and bide my time and had made a lot of money. I didn't. I said, I want to go do this. I feel it's socially responsible to tell this story. And, the book and the documentary, obviously, that all took on its own journey, and I was able to capitalize to make up for some of the lost revenue that I walked away from. It was never about money, because I would have just stayed behind and made more. So no, it was not for profit. I just felt that it was the right thing to do. And my law enforcement career really had kind of run its course. I was kind of burned out. During those last 3 years, I was managing 4 major cases. I had a Main Street Crip case I was helping out on, kind of overseeing. I had the Wrap It Up case, which was the Mob Piru death row thing. Menace to Society, which was the Southside Crips and Keefe and that whole thing. And then I'm dealing with, the trial period of the George Torres case. And, for those years, man, it was just like a grind. I look back at my journals and I'm like, fuck, I don't know how I didn't have a nervous breakdown. It was just so much work and trying to do so many things. So when it came to, a time came where I was just like, I think I'm ready to move on. I had accrued enough time to get a retirement pension, and I said I want to write this book, and so that's what I did. And, that's how the story got told. I don't know if there was some other embedded questions there that I missed.
Just what you thought about the statement that he made, and did you release your findings for profit? Those were really the 2 questions that I had about that segment.
No, not really. I self-published the book. I had to dump a lot of money just into getting a book published. There was no assurance that I was even going to recover my expenses. So, I don't know. Again, it's just disappointing to see where he's coming from. I don't know where it is either. Again, you get a bunch of alpha dogs in a room, and sometimes, one of the alpha dogs doesn't get to fuck the bitch, and he starts biting all the other alpha dogs. That's what it feels like. It's just, I don't get it.